guys, welcome back. So if you've seen some older videos, not too much older, but my June budget video, I was going through, the different things that I budget for, and there was an item that I just did like undisclosed, and I told you that I would talk about it later. Well, that's what this video is for. I'm sure you can tell by the thumbnail and the title of this video what the budget, the undisclosed budget was for. But it's for therapy, and I've been going to a therapist since January of this year, and I want to talk about kind of like reasons why therapy is a good thing and everyone should be going, as well as like the practical financial side of it, of how do you actually pay for it. So first, let's talk about like therapy in general. I grew up where I don't know, it felt like therapy is like a more taboo type thing. Like if you go to therapy, it's like, oh, what is wrong with you? Like what has happened? Like that type of thing. Like it just seemed like a very extreme, like, oh, you have to see a therapist. Like, whoa. But that's not the case. I think that therapy is for everyone, and there's nothing wrong with you if you're going. I see it more so like a doctor. Like you go to the doctor for like your annual exam or physical, right? Like there's nothing wrong with you. It's just like a checkup. You're trying to see if everything's okay, so that nothing's actually truly is like wrong with you, right? So it's just like a mental check-in of like your life, how you're feeling about life, those type of things. So it's not like this extreme thing. And I think that it should be more normalized, especially within the Black community. So that's why I wanted to make this video, to just kind of like spread awareness on that. Also, this was my first time ever going to a therapist back in January. So I was kind of scared and I didn't know what to expect. And I heard like some people kind of like bashing therapy, like why would you pay for that? And it's like you're paying to talk to a friend. And let me tell you, it is not like talking to a friend because a therapist is a professional. Your friends, they're not professionals. They're not trained to talk about or handle certain situations. It's kind of like if I had a tooth that needed to be pulled, theoretically, I could ask my friend to do that for me, and they could take some pliers and like pull it out for me. Or I could go to a professional who's trained, who's had years of experience, who knows what to do the most efficient, effective way, painless way of doing things. So I can go to a professional for that, or I can like just kind of hope for the best with how my friends would do it. That's how I would like see therapy, right? They're not your friends. Like you do have eventually you'll have like a good relationship with them, but they're not your friends. They're not a hype person. They will call you out on stuff. I feel like friends are very like, they're just trying to be supportive, and a therapist will make you like challenge yourself. Like, well, why did you react this way? Why did you do this? Why did you say that? How do you feel about that? Do you think that you could have responded differently? And just kind of like going deep and figuring out like, why do you feel that way? Why did you respond that way? What triggered you in like that moment? And it's different than talking with a friend. Like it's just different. Another thing to know is that therapists have like different specialties that they concentrate on, I guess you could say. I don't know like the correct terminology for it, but you can see a therapist who only does like couples therapy, or a therapist for children, one that focuses on depression, one who focuses on like trauma of like various sorts. I don't want to get like too in the details on it because YouTube doesn't like for you to talk about like heavy topics like that, but just imagine like any type of trauma. So there's different types of therapists for different types of things. So if you know the type of things that you need to talk about or the different things that have happened in your life that you need to address, then you can find a therapist who focuses on those issues. So when I found my therapist, we had a consultation before we started like regularly seeing each other. So it was just an opportunity for her to talk to me and explain a little about like how she works, what type of therapy she does, the things that she focuses on. And then it was an opportunity for me to kind of introduce myself and tell her the type of things that I wanted to work on. So that's just a consultation. And then after that, we started meeting each other more regularly. And I would say to just like give it time and kind of test how the two of you work together, because it is like because I would say it's like a partnership and it is a relationship. And some relationships are good and some relationships are bad, right? So I would give it time, maybe a couple months to a couple months depending on how frequently you see each other, but just time to kind of feel if this is a good fit. And if it is, then great, and you can keep seeing them. But if it's not, that's okay too, and you can find another therapist. I kind of see it as like a nail technician. Like sometimes you go to a nail salon and it's like, they did an okay job. And then other times it's like, oh my gosh, she did an amazing job. I'm going back to her every single time, only her, right? So it's kind of like that. Like you may have to go to a few different nail salons until you find the one that you actually like, but that's okay. And I think that that's a normal thing as well. Okay, so those are like my tips and kind of, going against like the taboo-ness of therapy. I do think it's for everyone. So once you've decided that, yes, you want to try therapy, how are you going to pay for it? Now, I will say, I was hesitant to do this because, I thought that therapy is like super expensive. And I think that it can be, but it doesn't have to be. So if you're employed somewhere, you can go to your HR and you can ask them about their benefits. Some jobs may have some type of mental health type benefits, or they can help you to connect to a therapist in your area and one that's within a network. And by in network, that just means your insurance provider. It's within network of your insurance provider. If you're like me, I didn't want to talk to my job's like HR. I don't know. I just didn't want to have that conversation with someone at work. So instead, I have health insurance. So I have like a little health insurance card, and on the back of that was a number that I could call. And that's what I did. I called them and I asked them like, what are your benefits like as far as mental health and being able to see a therapist? And the person that I spoke to, they explained to me that I will have to pay 100% of the cost for each session until I reach my deductible. So for me, I have a $1,400 deductible. So right now I am paying pretty much out of pocket to be able to go to a therapist. So I'm paying for that out of pocket until I reach $1,400. And I will reach that amount within this year. And once that happens, after that, I'll only have to pay for, I think it's 30% of whatever the cost is, and then they'll pay for the rest. I think it's 30%. It may be 20%. I'm not sure exactly. It's one of the two, but significantly less than 100%. It's just I have to pay my deductible first. And for someone like me, a single person, I don't get sick that often, so I don't have a lot of reasons to like use my deductible. So it is taking me a lot longer before I reach that amount. But if you have multiple people on your insurance plan or your health benefits, you may be able to reach your deductible a lot sooner. So it wouldn't take that long before you wouldn't have to pay for the entire amount if your insurance is set up the way mine is set up. So once you find a therapist, you can work with them, and each therapist, their pricing is going to be different. So the person that I see, she has like 3 different tiers basically. Like a 30-minute session is worth a certain amount, and then there's a 45-minute session and then an hour-long session, and then I can choose which session I want, so I can kind of budget how much I want to spend that month. And for us, like, we work together. Like, I told her like my budget as for how much I can spend on this, and so I can choose, do I want to do 4 45-minute sessions a month? Do I want to meet every other week? Do I want to meet twice a week? It's really just up to you and what you can afford. And then also your therapist may recommend, especially when you're first starting out, my therapist recommended that we meet at least once a week, because I was debating like every other week at one point, and she was like, when you're first starting, it is better to come in every week. And it was pretty similar in price, so I decided to just do it weekly instead of doing longer sessions every other week. So once you find a therapist, you can work with them and come up with a routine that works for the two of you. And as far as finding a therapist, I think that I used a website called Therapy for Black Girls. I will link it down below. Just let me make sure. Yep, it's called therapyforblackgirls.com. There's also therapyforblackmen.org. So those are targeted towards Black people, obviously. But there's all these different therapists that you can find in your area. And then it kind of like links to their website, or it may say on the page itself, like if they're within your network or not. But it just has like all these different therapists that you can reach out to, and you can see like who specializes in what, and you can find one. For me, it was really important to find a therapist who looked like me. I don't know. I just wanted one who looked like me. I felt like it would be easier to open up to someone, because this is like a stranger that you're talking to, essentially. Like, I've never seen her outside of therapy, and we talk about like some heavy things, and I just wanted to feel like as comfortable as possible. So I found a therapist who looked like me. So those are 2 websites that you can do. There's also a website called openpathcollective.org. And again, that'll be in the description, but that is, it's not targeted towards Black people, but it is targeted towards affordable therapy. So I think it can be as low as like $30 a session or something. So again, that's a lot more affordable than I thought that it would be when I first started thinking about therapy. So that is a website that you can use too if you are on a budget. So that's it for this video. I hope that this was informative. On my end, it was a little, not scary, but like, I don't know, this is a kind of like a new topic and kind of like a personal thing. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to share this, but I have been doing this since January, and I've just been like lumping therapy within my living costs because I wasn't comfortable sharing that with you guys yet. But I decided to make this video and tell you guys about it because I do think that it's an important thing to talk about, and me not talking about it kind of feeds into that whole taboo thing, and there's nothing wrong with it, and more people should do it. So I wanted to kind of push myself to make this video and tell you guys about it, and hopefully answer any questions if you had any. Also, I was tired of like lumping in therapy with the living costs, and I built like this channel on transparency. So I just wanted to like be transparent and let you guys know that this is what I'm doing. So I hope this video was helpful. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.